Hello, welcome to Women in Entertainment, blazing your own path. Yes, it's I'm very excited to be here. This is my first panel I've ever moderated, and I'm super stoked about it. So I'm Gwen Carole, I'm an actor, I'm a content creator, and I'm an entertaining woman, and woman in entertainment, both of those things. But more importantly, we have a top-notch panel over here of women who have been lighting up this industry for some time with their work, their love for what they do, their authenticity, and I'm really excited to talk to them. So let's introduce them, starting with, at the very far end, we have, did you switch places? Oh yeah, that's Rachel. So the former head of programming and creative at Alamo Drafthouse LA. She now sits on the advisory board of Vidiots and the Overlook Film Festival. It's Rachel Walker, everyone.
Hello.
Then we have the scripted TV development coordinator at Entertainment One, the owner of Room of Req Productions, and its filmmaker, Lauren Chavez-Myers.
Happy to be here.
Next, we have an actor, award-winning singer, activist, host of the We Need to Talk podcast, and owner of JMV Entertainment, Malynda Hale, everyone.
Hello.
She's a 2023 Blackmagic Collective Future Women of TV Directing Fellow, founder of Pink Among Men Productions, Inc., and director, writer, producer, actor, Amy DePaola.
Hi, everyone.
And last but not least, we have the co-founder of Brooklyn Quarter, who made this panel happen today, by the way. Actor, filmmaker, producer, and creative coach, Danielle Beckmann.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming.
Yay. So I thought to start, I want to just jump right in and start with one sort of sweeping question to all of you, because we all want to know this to start, which is what got you started in the film, TV, and entertainment industry? I want to hear what drives you, what inspired you, any villain origin stories, any of that. I'm here for it. Let's start with you, Danielle.
Sure. Mine has nothing to do with anything evil, so that's good.
It doesn't have to be.
I started in theater. I'm a theater kid. I've been acting and tap dancing since I was 2 years old. My dad's here. He can attest to that. And I made my transition right before the pandemic into film. I made my first short film, and was really glad to get that in the can right before 2020 hit. And sat on it and thought, wow, this is a really tough feat. It's really tough to make a movie, even if it's a 10-minute short, you know? And then I was lucky enough to have it premiere at the Tribeca Film Festival in 2021, and kind of coming out of the pandemic, that was such a gift. And after that, I thought, okay, well, here I go. I'm a filmmaker now. So that's kind of my little, I was bitten by that bug.
Nice, we'd love to
hear. Which is a hero origin story.
That is a hero origin story. I thought about saying hero also, but I just like villains so much.
No, I loved it.
Yes, Amy, tell us about.
So I also was a child actor, and I left acting in my teenage years as well as undergrad to focus on some other things that I thought I wanted to do. But shortly after I graduated, I just found myself really drawn to acting classes and wanting to be there rather than at my desk job. So I dove headfirst in, and it wasn't until maybe a full year of pounding the pavement in New York and auditioning that I thought, you know, I don't want to work in a restaurant while I do this, although I did end up doing that again and again and again on my way as a filmmaker. But I was an assistant to 2 producers, and we did a lot of work with female writers and directors in the space in the early and mid-2000s, and a filmmaker named Gina Prince Blythewood came to talk to us once, and she actually really inspired me to go to grad school and become a filmmaker myself. So that's kind of just a little nutshell, and a big shout out to her, because she's an amazing director.
Incredible, incredible. Malynda, let's hear your backstory.
Okay, there's 3 different parts to this answer. In terms of performing, I remember when I was 5 and I saw Whitney Houston sing the national anthem for the Super Bowl, and I said I want to do that. And so that was really what kind of inspired me to become a singer and to train, and I've been blessed to sing the national anthem for many, many places, and just be a performer. I also did musical theater growing up. In terms of my podcast, I just really got involved in activism and advocacy in the last few years, and I think that having conversations is a huge part of the reason why there's so much division and so much discourse. So that's that. And with my entertainment company, I just didn't like the way any of the companies that I worked for were running. So I decided to start my own company and take charge of my own career in that way.
Yes, great. Love it. Lauren.
Kind of similar. My mom started sending me to auditions when I was a kid, and I was like, this is awesome. She was not a stage mom, by the way. She was like, if you like this, you might as well keep doing it. So, so I was on my first film set when I was 7. It was a spaghetti western, which means it was a western made by Italians. And I spent like a whole summer traveling around New Mexico, pretending to be a kid in like the 1800s. So that was really fun. And I just kept doing theater and film. And when Danielle and I met in college, we were a little, dare I say, dissatisfied with the opportunities that were given to particularly female students in the theater department when it came to opportunities to be in main stage shows. And so we were like, you know what, let's create a production company that's like led by students. So they submit 10-minute plays, they get to direct them, they get to act in them, and we called this little program From the Ground Up. And that was X amount of years ago.
It's still running. It's still running.
Yeah. And that is what kind of gave me the producing bug of like, you know what? If you don't see something and you don't have those opportunities for yourself, you might as well do it yourself.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Amen.
absolutely. Yes. Rachel.
So I also performed in my youth, which means 100% of us
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
were acting, from a young age. So I knew I always wanted to be in film, and I guess as a kid I thought, oh, well, so clearly that means being a movie star. Like that's all I had in my head is the way to, get to be anywhere near film. So then I went to acting school at NYU, but then after graduating, I realized I kind of wasn't interested in it at all. I started a fangirl blog called All Things Fangirl, and my dad one day said, hey, what do you want to do every day when you wake up? Is it acting or is it what you're doing right now? And I sort of realized, oh, yeah, actually the thing I had passion for was supporting artists that I believed in, filmmakers that I believed in. And so whether that's, press where I was then or later went into publicity, I'm in the Publicists Guild, but then also producing, because I'm in the Producers Guild, and programming, which, is, I think, my favorite way to support. And so that's sort of, so I switched gears completely, I think at age 27, which was a long time ago, guys. And I volunteered for Film Independent, and then I was an intern, and that sort of changed everything. That sort of led to the path that I'm on now.
I love that. The people that phrase those questions that ask us, what is it you actually want to be doing? Those are heroes, those people in our stories. And I love the through line that everybody had of like, there was something that needed changing. There was something I wanted to be better for other people. And I heard that from all of you, and I love that. That's a common thread. So I want to get more into like your individual work specifically. I want to start with Amy, because that's who I've written down first. So a lot of your work lives in the dark comedy and dramedy worlds, which I love so much. You have themes of existentialism, outsiders looking to belong somewhere. What draws you to comedy specifically, especially when talking about important themes?
Great question. I think I come across naturally as an extroverted person, but I'm a deep introvert, and I use comedy a lot to express myself with other individuals, to have hard conversations. It's just something that's been ingrained in me since I was a kid, really. Like my dad would get angry with me, and there'd be like a disciplinary conversation, and I'd go into lawyer negotiation mode, and I would think all right, we're performing now, and it was just. Maybe it was a defense mechanism, right? And it's, as I've gotten older, though, it's become a really important tool because I myself, when I am looking for something that I want to experience, I'm seeking out comedy, and I feel like I do learn a lot from that perspective. I don't know. I'm just drawn to it. I really think it makes things a lot easier. It makes hard conversations fun. People are more open, I think, in that genre to, really dive into it, and it does make you self-reflect in a way that I think drama, although I do love drama, do not get me wrong, just sort of alienates an audience to some degree sometimes. We're not all lining up to go see those films that are what we consider like the Academy or, a film when you hear the comment, oh, that's so indie, like that kind of vibe. But I don't, I feel like comedy is at least something where hopefully everybody can sit at the table and experience it.
You said that better than I could have.
I really felt like I was struggling for a little while.
No,
there.
you did. Oh no, it's so well said and relatable, and I totally agree with all of it. All right, we have a clip actually of one of your. What is it?
It's a clip from my last film called Tiki Bar Funeral Home.
Tiki Bar Funeral Home, yes,
of which our lovely Danielle Beckmann here stars in.
Who is in it?
And a little backstory here. This is a film that was inspired by my experience growing up, and a lot of my friends fell victim to the opioid epidemic. And it's a comedy, though. You guys, don't worry. It's not dark. That's not drama. But it's really the conversation that Danielle's character Adriana is having with her friend Renee. Focuses on her longtime crush, and it seems on the surface that it's about a man, so you're sitting here thinking like, oh, this doesn't pass the bedshell test. But for me, it's really about regret and kind of thinking about those choices that you missed out in life. So
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, let's roll the clip and let's all cross our fingers the sound
audio
works.
let's please do that.
Here we go.
Oh, that's so great.
Thank you all for laughing. So a little bit of context. In this film, Tiki Bar Funeral Home, Adriana, the character that Danielle plays, is a destitute actress, and she's coming back to what she thinks is her ex-boyfriend's funeral to tell his best friend that she's still in love with him. Only when she arrives, she discovers that her ex is still alive, just on his deathbed at the party.
Whoa.
So the darkest of comedies, if you want to watch my films.
Oh, so good. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that with us. So good. I'm going to jump on down to Rachel because I feel like it. Trying to keep it. So you're a film programmer, which is no small feat at all. Producer, you've been a publicist, another not small feat. And I see you as an enthusiast and a cheerleader for all things film, TV, and media, 100%. Are there any trends you're seeing in the industry at the moment?
I think something that has come up a lot recently are films that are subverting the genre. Mm-hmm. And, you think it's going to be one thing, and then it goes in a totally different direction. And there are two movies that were at South by Southwest this year that I really love called Raging Grace and Chronicles of a Wandering Saint. And they both won awards, which I was really excited about, that kind of fit into that model. Yeah. And also seeing a lot of women in the horror space, which is awesome. That is something that I've wanted to see happen more for years, and I feel like it's really exploding right now. Oh, so that's a big one.
Oh, that's good to know. Is there anything that you think is lacking that you want to see more of?
I would personally love to see more erotic thrillers. Mm-hmm. There's a movie called Fair Play that premiered at Sundance, and I think it ended up being the biggest sale at Sundance, and it plays like an erotic thriller. It has that vibe, and I want more of that. I feel like that genre isn't really around as much anymore, and I want that to be here.
I want to see that. Okay, note to everybody: make that.
And I love female villains, and I want more female villains.
Thank you, because me too. That's why I mentioned it right at the beginning. Okay. Also, one more thing I want to follow up with. What, in terms of, you view so many films and so much content, what makes you sort of stop and do a double take? What makes you go, oh, this is a good film? What do you think
well, it's not just one thing. It's a
Right.
lot easier for me to say kind of what not to do than what to do. But
Sure,
the more, obviously if something is unique and authentic and just as much as it's not something I've seen before, and when something is audacious but with meaning, not just for the sake of being audacious.
Yeah.
That's what really grabs me. But you can never. It's kind of like the things that stand out are things you can't emulate. It has to be.
Yeah, the authenticity, I think, I agree with that. It's like, it's super important rather than doing something because you think you should be doing it or for the sake of doing it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense. Thank you, Rachel. I'm going to move down to, who is next? Lauren, let's talk about you. So, as we've seen, art has the power to change, shift culture. Everything Everywhere All at Once is a really great recent example of doing that. What inspired you to make the social impact films that you make, such as Enough Room, which I saw the trailer for, and I love it so much. What culture shift are you really wanting to see with that, or in that space in general?
Yeah, so I have been always attracted to, and my mission has always been like inclusivity, like the intersection of voices, which I think women in general tend to be at the forefront of, where we see, there are people that are being marginalized. How can we bring those voices to the table in a way that recognizes lots of different points of view and perspectives? And so that's always been my driving force as a filmmaker and a producer, and now that I work in TV development, I still, that's still at the forefront of my mission. And with Enough Room, I was approached by a woman who said, I really want to tell this story that was a true story. And this particular film is a little different in that it's a narrative film, but it's not something that is just something that you put up on a platform and that's it. It actually has educational value to it, where I don't know if a lot of you engage in videos or these programs through your work through HR maybe, where it's we're going to talk about racism and why
e-learnings.
Yes,
That's what we call those.
We're going to talk about why you shouldn't be racist at work, and a lot of times those videos are dry. Right now they're done via Zoom, and so Enough Room was also created to present to audiences and say, hey, we actually want you to engage in discussion afterwards. And so the culture shift I would say that we were wanting to do with it is how can we talk about passive racism in a way that invites all voices to the table, that doesn't make anyone feel excluded, and that really allows you to kind of just sit back and say, you know what, I'm going to listen to your point of view, even if I really disagree with it. And the feedback that we've gotten is that people finally feel seen. They feel like they have an opportunity to talk with someone, even if they still don't agree with them after the fact. And it has definitely ruffled some feathers, but we're really excited to bring that to not just audiences, but workplaces as well.
Yes. All right, Malynda, I just wanted to have your singing clip last. I just wanted that to wrap up the clips. So I'm a big fan of your podcast, We Need to Talk. I have listened to it, and you guys, it's great. You tackle all the hard-hitting topics: politics, religion, social justice, mental health. Nothing is off limits. We love to see it. Does hosting a podcast like this, with having deep conversations with guests, does that bleed into your other creative projects? And if so, how does that?
Yeah, and
that
with
manifest?
the clip, we'll see that in just a little
absolutely.
bit. But a few years ago, I definitely wanted to start using music as a way to have more conversations in regards to social justice. So a lot of the music that I've released in the last 5-6 years have been about social justice topics and initiatives that are really, really important to me. Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ rights, women's rights, all of those things. And I found that music is very much so a universal language, and it's easier to get people to listen to a message through a song than trying to have a conversation with them on Twitter, for example. That just doesn't work most of the times. I do that as well, but I like to use music as a way to have conversations about things that are really important to me and get people to listen.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so now we're going to watch this clip.
Yeah, so this clip is called God and His Gun, and it's a song that I released about 1.5 years or 2 years ago. And for me, my background, I grew up in a very progressive Christian faith household, and so I've always been taught to just lead with love. And so I was very, very frustrated with how the church specifically was responding to a lot of these social justice topics. And so that's what this song is about.
It's really, really powerful stuff. Thank you. The choreography, excellent also, by the way.
Yeah,
so good.
It was choreographed by Sarah Gould, so she's incredible. Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Mental note of that. And now she'll be singing for us the national anthem, if we have time. Okay. Danielle, we're going to go to Danielle.
Hi.
We saw your acting in Tiki Bar Funeral Home. It was so nice. So lovely. Very, very funny. You co-run the production company Brooklyn Quarter with your husband, Timothy.
He's right there with the camera, that big red light. It's recording, everyone.
And that's where you create your TTRPG show, Novel Chronicles, which I love, and films like Liza Anonymous that went to Tribeca, which you mentioned. Amazing. And you're also a coach with your company, The Spirited Storyteller. Love that name also. What is most important to you, especially with being a woman and a leader of multiple companies?
Right, well, and it's so funny because I'm in good company up here because everyone has their own company.
That's right.
Up here. And I think that, there is definitely a thing as women. I mean, this is a panel about women, so I'm just going to get into it, right?
That's what we're here for.
There is something that being a woman, growing up in our society, we are taught to apologize and sometimes blend in and make ourselves smaller. And so I think that I started my company, co-founded it in 2017 in Brooklyn, New York. Since then, we've moved to LA. There's been many iterations, and in those 6 years, I think it's not only been the golden rule to trust in myself and trust in my own taste, but also be okay with that and be okay with standing in my power and taking up space and saying no or saying yes or saying not right now. And I've definitely had to put my big girl pants on, so to speak, and have some really hard conversations, and not apologizing for that, and you know, it's okay, like being able to sleep at night, because I have to say there were some times where I would have to make tough decisions and I would tear myself up over it, like, oh no, what if they don't like me? Oh no. You know, I mean, we're artists. I mean, what we do is so subjective. Some people aren't gonna like it, and that's okay. So really the work has been finding my own inner peace and my North Star and trusting myself. And also surrounding myself with amazing community. Right. So I say I trust my own taste, but I also trust the taste of the community that's come up around me. So, great question.
I feel really good to be a part of that.
Yes, you are.
So thank you for having me here. And I love Novel Chronicles, if you're into tabletop RPG.
Yeah, Novel Chronicles is our tabletop show. It is a role-playing game, and we actually have another panel about role-playing games that was here last year at WonderCon. Yeah. And it's really, really fun. For those of you who have never played a role-playing game, it's essentially like theater of the mind. It's a little improv, a little devised theater, and we have a podcast and a YouTube show. So no clips today. So we're keeping it really mysterious.
But we saw your face and we saw your acting work. So
yeah,
we get to know about all of it.
Yeah.
Great. So something I really want to get into with all of you, and I'll get a little more specific with each of you, but something a lot of filmmakers and artists that are just getting started ask me, and I'm sure all of you, is how do you balance creativity and survival, right? How do you manage your time, wear different hats, and able to stay creative and pay the bills, essentially. Starting with Amy, you're a member of the Television Academy, and you've produced 60 episodes of television. There's a long list: Nickelodeon, Comedy Central, Participant Media, the CW, Soul Pancake, YouTube, Netflix. It's a great list.
Thank you.
What are some ways that you find balance, and is it possible?
It is, and it's still a work in progress. I will admit, I take great care of my skin. I have been doing this for over 10 years, over 15 years now. And, I will say when I first started out, it was a challenge. I was definitely very eager to figure out that problem overnight. And it took me probably 10 years to learn that that's no problem, no issue, no identity that you're forming is going to happen that fast. So for me, it became about seeking out ways to, and I think that I could speak for many women in this industry, of seeking out other skill sets within the film, TV, entertainment, business. I think every single one of us up here is a multi-hyphenate and, had to be by way of survival. We live in a time where, people are just uploading TikToks and Reels, et cetera, and getting plucked into the likes of like CAA and UTA after, a lot of hard work. So I do think it's possible. I think if you're just starting out, though, to come back to your question, is like just be generous to yourself in that it's not going to happen overnight where you figure out what that balance is, and everybody is different. I have handed out chocolate at Whole Foods. I have bartended. I have taught yoga. I have taught film. I have, done whatever I could on my way, and then one day I woke up and all of a sudden I was full-time, able to survive by just producing and directing and doing what I love, which is great. But again, it didn't happen overnight, and everybody's story is different. But I do not recommend the starving artist route. I think it is such a shame that we have tied art to capitalism in this country. And I'm so sorry to all of you on behalf of the founding fathers that did that. But I think you cannot create your best work unless you're in a good space mentally, and for a lot of us, that is being able to pay your bills and make sure that you can survive. And I'm also sorry about that.
We're all very sorry. I totally hear you. Yeah, well said. Well said again, Amy. Malynda, I'm going to go to you. You're obviously multifaceted, multi-talented artist. Oh my God, you sing, you act, you're an activist. You activist with the best of them. And you're a mom of a toddler.
I am. That's the
3-year-old
hardest job out of all of them.
Like that's how do you divide your time and choose where to focus your energy and resources? What does that look like for you?
I'm still figuring it
out. I know. That's really going to be the common answer.
Literally, I woke up at 2 a.m. My husband can attest to this, and I was like, I forgot to send an invoice. Like balancing is difficult for me, but it is 2 parts. It is personal and creative for me for sure. And any given day, it's crazy when you are a multi-hyphenate and you do a bunch of things. I'm either auditioning, recording vocals, or I'm doing my podcast interviews, or I'm doing a reel about something that somebody said that was offensive. It just depends on any given day. But for me, now that I do have my daughter, it's really, I have to be able to give to her and give to my husband and my family. So if I get to a point where I know I'm exhausted, I just have to learn to say no. And I think being able to say no is a huge thing. And we all think that if you say no, you're going to lose the opportunity. But what's meant to be yours will be yours at any given time in your life. It may not be today. It could be 2 weeks from now. It could be months. And I'm very much talking to myself right now. But that's just really what I've had to learn, to just take a pause, say no, and that it'll be okay. So that's really how I balance. I just know that like if I'm getting to a point where I'm super exhausted and I can't really show up for my child and show up for my husband, and that's when I know I need to turn the switch off and just be there, be present.
Yeah, being aware of when you get to that point is really amazing.
Yeah. And your body will shut you down if you don't stop. Like I've gotten super sick just because I just kept going. It's not healthy. So you just have to know when to turn the switch off and say no.
Doing that, everybody. Drink water. Thank you, Malynda. Lauren, a new mom. Starting with that, we're just going from mom to mom here. I just needed to say that first. But also, you've stretched from the theater world to high-budget film and TV, to writing and producing your feature, and you're developing super popular properties like Dungeons and Dragons and Power Rangers. What? Cool. Yeah, and you're a mom. I said that already, and I wrote it twice. Because it's an important
I will emphasize
thing.
it twice for you.
Yeah, emphasize it twice. It's a similar question. Has there been a thread that has kept you grounded and steady? What does time management look like for you? What are your words of wisdom on this?
Well, first of all, I want to reiterate that, like, I haven't always been grounded and steady. And I think that's just important to emphasize, especially as we see, everyone puts on their best light on social media. So we typically don't always see the hard work, but we don't always see the low points. And, there has been a shift in my work lately, and part of it was because I was doing the grind of trying to be a working actor and producing and writing and trying to have a flexible job in order to do all that. And, like, I hit a wall. And I hit a really low point in my life, and I was like, I need to make a change. And that change was, I'm going to step away from this for a little bit. It doesn't mean forever. And in doing that, I was able to listen to myself over the course of a year and be like, you know what, I think I want to go into development. And I was really lucky that a colleague from college, recommended me for a job, and I'm working now with these really cool properties like D&D and Power Rangers and Magic the Gathering. And for me, though, through all of that, I would say that, like, having a North Star is really important. And that North Star is also allowed to change, too. But for me, like I said earlier, inclusivity, women's voices, disabled voices, Latinx voices are really important to me in the work that I do. And so I think that's what helps me get up in the morning sometimes and get out of bed when I'm tired and exhausted from getting up at 5 a.m. to feed a baby. I just, listening to yourself, allowing yourself to have those low moments, I think is important too, because it can't always be highs. And just allowing your course to change, It's okay to be in the middle of the ocean and be like, I'm gonna go that way instead. And it's been really exciting to be on this new journey with TV development and kind of seeing where that goes. And so, yeah, just keep listening to yourselves.
Yeah, evolution is okay.
Yeah.
I've been saying that a lot lately, so I hear that. I hear that a lot. Great. And Rachel, you watch and consume content at a high level, at a high rate. I've mentioned this a lot. It's impressive to me. I've done one short film that's been in festivals, and people that organize festivals and run festivals, I'm always like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. How do you find balance between creative life and self-care?
It helps that I love watching movies. I think
absolutely.
even watching a movie that is perhaps not well made, I think there's still value in that. You still learn from that, especially producing as well, But I think a big game changer for me was finally sticking to my boundaries, like finding things that I love to do. And like if I'm going out of town for a weekend, saying, I'm out of town for the weekend, as opposed to just, I'm available 24/7.
Right.
Because I spent 6 or 7 years before working for Draft House just going from seasonal job to seasonal job, that would last 4 months at a time and working freelance in between and sometimes 7 jobs at once. So there was, never really a break. And that's something that now I'm like, I cannot do that anymore. My body is like, we're not. So I think actually, sticking to those boundaries has been a game changer.
Absolutely. Nice. And Danielle, you already touched on this a little bit. You're an actor who produces. What do you look for in choosing projects? What makes you say yes, especially with a packed schedule? We talked about, being able to say no. What are some things that really light you up?
Yeah, I'm in the comedy boat with this one, which is why I said yes to this project. Also, we met in a really kismet way, but which maybe I'll tell that story if there's a moment. But what makes me say yes to a project is usually if there is an arc of redemption. So even if I am playing a character that is villainous or could be perceived in a certain way, if there is some sort of journey that character goes on, that shows them in a multifaceted light that one might not see right when you first look at it, but if you move the prism ever so slightly, you get to see something new and have a perspective shift. Those are the things that I'm definitely drawn to. So yeah, I think something about redemption is a theme that I try to look for. And in that, I just also want to acknowledge the theme that I'm hearing here, which is like boundaries and saying no, and your body will tell you.
Yep.
And also meandering a little bit, but I do want to just say this little thing. Listening to your gut is such an important thing. And a little story, back in 2021 was the Holly Shorts Film Festival. And I didn't have a film in the festival, but I was going to support a friend. And I was a little bit tired, and I was like, oh, should I go? But my gut said, you gotta be there. So I went, and I ran into this one. And we started chatting. We only knew each other through Zoom. So it's like, hi, you're a little box, and now you're a real person, and that was exciting. And, something in me, back to my gut, said, you should send her some of your work. You should send her your latest short film. And I did, and she watched it. We had coffee, and then she had a dream the next week, and we had a lot of woo-woo stuff going on.
There were a lot of steps to get this. I can pick up the rest.
Oh yeah.
I was writing Tiki Bar at the time, and I had watched Liza Anonymous, which is Danielle's film that premiered at Tribeca, and as I was doing my rewrites, I just started picturing the character and had a full face, and it was Danielle. So it was a flat offer. I was like, this is the character, this is the person I want to work with. And I think your story to me also highlights an important note that I like to make to people, which is that your lateral relationships are going to be way more important in your journey as a creator than any of the trying to reach the top executive or the biggest A-list star. So the people who are around you, who are in your communities, who you are meeting at festivals, at WonderCon, et cetera, those are your North Stars in terms of your collaborators, right? I think that those connections are by far my most fruitful, and of course, Danielle is a lovely collaborator. I absolutely love working with her.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Ditto.
Yeah.
I love the love. Nice. We've got just a handful of minutes left. I want you to be able to. I just want you to quickly tell us how we can follow your work, how we can support you in your endeavors. Just quickly.
I'll start.
Brooklyn
We go this
Corridor.
way?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Oh,
I'll start with
sweet.
Danielle.
Yeah. Shameless plug, that QR code will take you right to my production company's website. That's exciting.
How
Brooklyn
amazing is
Corridor. And find me on Instagram, guys. I would love to say hi at DBeck, DeeBeck. And also DanielleBeckmann.com is my website. And I'm having some projects cross my desk weekly, and I love to read new things and talk about how things might be able to get made, or give any advice that I can. And so please reach out and say hello and say that you saw this panel. That would be
And
fantastic.
she's a coach. She coaches actors, and she's great at it. And so if you're an actor, hit her up.
Yeah,
Great.
We have fun. It's not scary. It's fun.
Amy, how can we follow and support you?
I think the best way to find me is on Instagram. I'm at Amy DePaola Films. You can also check out my production company at Pink Among Men. And keep your eyes out for Tiki Bar Funeral Home. We will hopefully be announcing a premiere soon.
Yay, Malynda.
Yeah, my website's malyndahale.com, or Instagram has links to everything that I do at Malynda Hale. Instagram's always the easiest.
Yes. Yes. Lauren.
You can find me on Instagram at Loco with Lolo. It's mostly baby pictures right now. I'm just going to warn you. My website's on there. And then
Nothing
I
wrong
will also
with
say, I did not work on it, but I encourage all of you to go see the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Please, like we would even think about not going to that. Yes, absolutely. Rachel.
I also think you should all go see the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Yeah.
It's great. I'm Loquacious Muse on Twitter and Instagram, wherever there are handles. Vidiotsfoundation.org. I encourage you to go there, become a member if you live in the Los Angeles area. It's a female-owned and operated film space. It's going to be a huge theater, like Movie Palace, and a flex space and a video store. It's going to have it's actually going to rent VHS and DVD and Blu-ray. Vidiots. So vidiotsfoundation.org is the website. It'll be opening finally this year. And very excited about that.
Sort of.
And then also the short I have on the circuit right now that I produced is directed by Mark Bernardin, who he's a presence at a lot of conventions, so you might be familiar with him. It's called Splinter, and it's an all-female cast for the most part, and they're from like Battlestar Galactica and American Gods, and it's they're really good, and it's called Splinter. So keep an eye out for that. We'll have some presence at Comic-Con.
Yeah, so please follow these women. They're incredible. They're doing incredible things.
How can we follow you?
I'm Gwendolyn Instagram. You can see it over there. Good luck spelling it unless you look at it. I do a lot of really silly comedy content. That's basically
She's hilarious.
Thank you. This isn't about me, but it is sort of. We have like 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Does anyone have like a really big question they want to ask? I just want to open it up. It's okay if you don't. You can step up to the mic. You can shout it out. And yes, free hugs. Come up.
I wasn't sure I was going to get a chance to ask it.
Oh, good.
So, I'm curious what you would tell yourself if you were 12 years old, because we're talking about adult stuff, and my little friend Sydney right there is 12 years old. She's a drawer from Idaho, and she just got hired to do her first ever illustration
Congratulations! That's massive.
for a female-owned publishing house called Chimera Press, and I wanted her to hear, advice for a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Just keep going. Just keep going. Persevere. Honestly, don't get out of line. You're in line. It's like you're in line at Trader Joe's. Don't get out of line. You're going to be there soon enough.
Yeah, do you have advice for me? I mean, second that, you found what you love, don't stop. Yeah. Don't stop. And don't stop loving it, too. Just love it.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing new to say. Exactly that. You're doing exactly what you want to be doing, so just keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I would say don't be afraid to explore.
I would tell myself, just from a mental health standpoint, that 90% of the time, anything that I thought was a huge deal is really not that big of a deal, and everything's going to be fine.
Yeah. Really well said. Someone told me once early on as an actor that said, if you don't quit, you're bound to succeed somewhere, somehow.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you just keep putting stock into that thing as best you can. There will be hits and misses along the way. It's a journey. It's an adventure, what I prefer to say. And that's our time, actually. So we can talk outside. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here with me. I had a great time. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.